I was drowning. Not in water, but in the endless scroll of my phone. 10 hours a day, sometimes 12, swiping through feeds, chasing likes, and losing myself in a digital void. My eyes burned, my head throbbed, and my life? It was slipping away. I was 27, living in a cramped apartment with dreams I hadn't touched in years. Friends stopped calling. My family grew distant. I'd stare at my reflection in the mirror, wondering who that hollow eyed stranger was. The worst part? I didn't even realize how bad it was until one night, alone in my room, I broke down. Sobbing, shaking, hating myself for wasting my youth on a screen. That was my rock bottom. But here's the thing, that moment of despair, it saved me. It forced me to face the truth about my life and sparked the one mindset shift that made me happier than I'd ever been. It didn't happen overnight. For years, I'd been addicted to the dopamine hits of notifications. Every ping felt like a tiny victory. Every new post a chance to escape the gnawing emptiness inside. I'd tell myself, it's just a quick check, but hours would vanish. My productivity tanked. I lost my job as a graphic designer because I couldn't meet deadlines. My girlfriend left me saying I cared more about my phone than her. She wasn't wrong. I'd scroll through Instagram while she talked about her day, barely hearing her. I was physically there, but mentally gone. The shame of it still stings. I'd lie awake at night, promising myself I'd change, but by morning I was back to my old habits, phone in hand before my feet hit the floor. One day, I stumbled across a statistic that hit me like a punch to the gut. The average person spends over 4 years of their life on social media. 4 years gone. I did the math for myself. 10 hours a day meant I was on track to waste a decade. A decade of my life traded for memes and strangers' highlight reels. That number haunted me. I couldn't unsee it. I started noticing how my phone ruled everything. I'd reach for it during meals, in the bathroom, even while driving. A reckless habit that nearly cost me everything when I rear-ended a car at a stoplight, too busy texting to notice the traffic. The crash wasn't just a wake-up call, it was a scream. I had to change or I'd lose more than just time. The turning point came when I went to a friend's wedding. Everyone was laughing, dancing, living in the moment, except me. I was glued to my phone, posting stories to prove I was having fun. A stranger at the bar called me out. "You're missing the real party," he said, pointing to the dance floor. His words cut deep. I went home that night and deleted every social media app. Cold turkey. It felt like ripping off a bandage, exposing a wound I'd ignored for years. The first few days were torture. My hands kept reaching for a phone that wasn't there. I was irritable, anxious, like a junkie in withdrawal. But slowly, something shifted. I started noticing the world again, the smell of coffee in the morning, the sound of birds outside my window. Small things, but they felt huge. That's when I realized the problem wasn't just my phone. It was my mindset. I'd been living for external validation, likes, comments, shares. My happiness depended on what others thought of me online. I was a slave to it. The mindset shift I needed was simple but brutal. I had to stop seeking approval from strangers and start living for myself. It sounds obvious now, but back then, it was revolutionary. I began to ask myself hard questions. What did I want? Not what the algorithm fed me, not what influencers told me to chase, but what I wanted. The answers scared me. I wanted to create art again. I wanted real connections. I wanted to feel alive, not just exist. This wasn't just about cutting screen time. It was about reclaiming my life. I started small, setting boundaries with my phone. I'd leave it in another room during meals. I turned off notifications. I replaced scrolling with reading, sketching, even just sitting in silence. The silence was the hardest part. It forced me to face my thoughts, my fears, my regrets, but it also gave me clarity. For the first time in years, I felt like I was waking up. My days felt longer, fuller. I had time to breathe, to think, to dream. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was living. And that's what I want to share with you. The steps I took, the lessons I learned, and how you can make this shift too. The fog in my mind started to lift, but I wasn't out of the woods yet. Waking up to the mess I'd made of my life was like staring at a house after a fire. Some parts were still standing, but the damage was undeniable. I'd lost my job, my relationship, and years I'd never get back. The guilt was crushing, but I knew wallowing wouldn't fix anything. I needed a plan, a way to rebuild from the ashes of my old self. That's when I started experimenting, fumbling through trial and error to find what worked. The mindset shift, choosing to live for myself instead of likes, was the spark. But now I needed the fuel to keep it burning. What I discovered were 5 practical steps that didn't just cut my screen time, but transformed how I lived, thought, and felt. These steps weren't magic. They were deliberate, gritty, and sometimes uncomfortable, but they worked. And they can work for you too. Step 1 was creating a digital firewall. I treated my phone like a loaded weapon, powerful but dangerous if mishandled. I downloaded an app called Freedom to block social media during work hours. At first, I hated it. I'd instinctively try to check Instagram only to hit a wall. But that frustration was the point. It forced me to sit with my impulses instead of giving in. I also set my phone to grayscale mode. Colors on apps are designed to hook you, like candy for your brain. Turning my screen black and white made scrolling less seductive. Within a week, I went from 10 hours of screen time to 7. Not perfect, but progress. The key was making it harder to slip back into old habits. Step 2 was rewriting my mornings. I used to wake up and grab my phone before brushing my teeth, diving into emails or TikTok while still half asleep. It set a frantic, distracted tone for the day, so I banned my phone from my bedroom. I bought a cheap alarm clock and left my phone charging in the kitchen overnight. The first night, I felt naked without it, but the next morning, I woke up to silence, not notifications. I started journaling instead, 3 pages of whatever was in my head. It was messy, raw, sometimes just rants about how much I missed scrolling, but it grounded me. I'd write what I wanted from the day, not what the algorithm fed me. That small act gave me control. Step 3 was replacing the void. Cutting screen time left gaping holes in my day. Boredom hit hard, and boredom is a trigger for relapse. So I filled those hours with things that fed my soul. I picked up sketching again, something I'd loved as a kid but abandoned. I'd draw for 30 minutes, losing myself in lines and shapes. I also started reading physical books, not ebooks. Holding a book felt different, intentional. I read 20 books that year, from novels to self help. Each page reminded me there was a world beyond my screen. I even joined a local art class where I met people who didn't care about my follower count. These weren't just hobbies, they were lifelines. Step 4 was setting ruthless boundaries with people. My friends would text me memes or tag me in posts, pulling me back online. I had to be blunt. I told them I was cutting back and asked them to respect it. Some didn't get it. They'd tease me or send more links. I distanced myself from them. It hurt, but I needed space to heal. I also had to confront my own FOMO. I'd see party photos online and feel like I was missing out. But I reminded myself those moments looked better online than they felt in real life. I started saying yes to real world plans, coffee dates, hikes, game nights. My connections deepened because I was present, not half distracted by a screen. Step 5 was tracking my wins, no matter how small. I kept a spreadsheet of my daily screen time, sketching hours and books read. Numbers don't lie. Seeing my screen time drop from 7 hours to 2 was electrifying. I'd also write down how I felt each week: less anxious, more focused, alive. On bad days, when I'd slip and scroll for hours, I didn't beat myself up. I'd log it, learn from it, and move on. That data became my anchor, proof I was changing. By the end of 6 months, I wasn't just happier, I was a different person. I landed freelance design gigs, earning 5,000 extra that year. I ran a half marathon, something I'd never thought possible. My days felt like mine again. The benefits were undeniable. Before, I was a zombie, shuffling through life with bloodshot eyes and a fried brain. After, I had energy. I slept better. My creativity surged. I designed a logo that went viral locally, landing me more clients. My relationships healed too. I'd have real conversations with my parents, not just distracted nods. I even started dating again, this time showing up fully present. The contrast was stark. My old life was a blurry, anxious haze. My new life was sharp, vibrant, mine. These steps weren't just about less screen time, they were about more life. And that's what I want for you, not just to survive, but to thrive. I'm not here to preach or pretend I've got it all figured out. Some days, I still catch myself reaching for my phone, tempted to fall back into the scroll. The difference now? I know what's at stake. I've tasted what life feels like when you're truly awake, when your days aren't hijacked by a screen, when your happiness doesn't hinge on a stranger's double tap. That mindset shift, choosing to live for myself, wasn't just a one-time fix. It's a daily fight, and it's a fight worth winning. You're watching this because something in you is stirring, maybe a quiet ache for something more. Don't ignore it. That's your life calling you back. Right now, you've got a choice. Keep drifting in the digital haze or take the first step towards something real. I'm begging you, choose real. You don't need to overhaul your life today. You don't need to delete every app or swear off your phone forever. Start small, but start now. Grab a piece of paper. Yes, actual paper. And write down one thing you want for yourself. Not what your feed says you should want. Not what your friends are chasing, but what you crave. Maybe it's time to paint again. Maybe it's deeper talks with someone you love. Maybe it's just feeling less empty at the end of the day. Whatever it is, name it. That's your North Star. Then try one of those steps I shared. Set your phone to grayscale tonight. Leave it out of your bedroom tomorrow morning. Pick up a book instead of your feed. These aren't punishments, they're gifts you're giving yourself. Each choice pulls you closer to a life that's yours. Here's the truth: no one's coming to save you. Not your friends, not your family, not some viral life hack. You have to save yourself. And it starts with deciding you're worth saving. I wasted years thinking I'd change someday, but someday never comes unless you make it happen. The world out there, it's messy, raw, beautiful, and waiting for you. But you won't find it through a screen. You'll find it in the moments you show up for, the sunrise you actually watch, the laugh you share without snapping it, the dreams you chase because you finally have the time. That's what this mindset shift unlocks. Not just happiness, but freedom. So here's what I need you to do. Right now, hit that subscribe button. Not because I need the numbers, but because it's a promise to yourself that you're in this. You're ready to fight for your life. Then drop a comment below. Tell me, how many hours are you spending on your phone each day? Be honest. Seeing that number in black and white might jolt you like it did me. Or share one thing you want to reclaim: time, creativity, peace. I read every comment, and I'm here cheering you on. If you're feeling bold, share this video with someone who needs it. Maybe they're stuck like I was, and your nudge could be their wake-up call. This isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning. Every step you take, every boundary you set, is you rewriting your life. You're not just cutting screen time, you're claiming your time, your focus, your soul. I've been where you are, and I know how heavy it feels, but I also know what's on the other side. A life where you're not just surviving, but thriving. You deserve that. So go after it. Start today. Start now. What are you waiting for?